Yeah, we'll just be live in a moment. Shreya, Dipali all ready?
Yes.
Great.
I want to remove the spectacles. I don't know. No. I have my iPad open here for the questions, Rajpreet.
We are live.
Perfect. Hello and good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome. We are here today gathered for the launch of Sechi's.life, an app that brings together various aspects for women to get together, to meet, to greet, to engage, to have and find safe spaces which are without judgment, to be able to seamlessly connect. With me, I have today the pleasure of Rajpreet Kaur and Dipali Nair in conversation with each other. We also have our team of Divya and Saras who've joined us. So for everybody who's joined this live stream on YouTube, just a quick note, the app is now up and running on the Android Google Play Store. In a week's time, we will be out with the iOS store as well. So all of you can go pick up the app, look at it, engage with it, sign up for it. If you're a woman, the experience is incredibly curated to ensure that you find sounding boards, that you find career advice, relationship advice, and a lot more, all of that on the Sechi's.life app. Without further ado, let me now bring into our conversation, which is our first conversation of the many that we start as part of our Unstoppable Women series. Two women who are going to be in conversation with each other, and it's my pleasure to invite and welcome Dipali Nair, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for IBM in India and South Asia. She's also a podcast host to a successful series called Being CEO with Dipali Nair. Before IBM, she led marketing and digital at IIFL Wealth Group of companies. She was also a non-executive member of the board at IIFL Wealth Finance. She's held leadership positions with HSBC, L&T Insurance, and Mahindra Holidays, and has worked at Marico to manage brands like Saffola and Medicare. She has managed sales, marketing, and customer service leadership roles and has been on the Impacts list of India's 50 most influential women 3 years in a row, on the IAMAI CMO Super 30 list, and in 2019 and 2020. She's also been awarded Economic Times Tech CMO of the Year honor in 2020. She's been elected to the Governing Council of Internet and Mobile Association of India in 2021. She was awarded CMO of the Year at CMO Leadership Awards hosted by Accent Infomedia. She also won Marketing Team of the Year award at the Economic Times Tech Marketer Awards and was also listed in Top 50 Marketers list presented by Business World in 2021. Dipali is well recognized in the industry and is on the Academic Advisory Council of IIM Udaipur, BITSOM, Nirma University, and SP Jain Institute of Management. She's a social media influencer of significance with over 22,000 followers on LinkedIn and 8,500 plus followers on Twitter. Dipali, it's a welcome honor that we are granting to have you amongst us today. Our pleasure to welcome you to the Sechi's space that we've created. So looking forward to your conversation. Welcome.
My pleasure to be here, Shreya and Rajpreet. I'm looking forward to this conversation too. The topic is very interesting.
Perfect. So in conversation with Dipali, we have none other than Rajpreet, who's our founder. After a successful corporate career of 16 years, she straddled both corporate treasuries at Tata Consultancy Services and Bharti Group and the banking industry with HSBC, Standard Chartered, and State Street. Rajpreet discovered her calling as an entrepreneur and founded Sechi's in 2020. She's always been very passionate about contributing towards an inclusive world, the coming together of her rich corporate experience, and this passion resulted in the launch of Sechi's, India's emerging femtech platform that provides personalized solutions towards challenges faced by women in career, relationships, and health within a trusted environment. Sechi's endeavors to combine the transformative power of people, cutting-edge technology, psychology, and neuroscience to drive behavior change at scale, both at a personal and organizational level. So Sechi's endeavors to combine all of this, and Rajpreet, who's an MBA from MDI Gurgaon, an FRM and a computer science engineer, completed her entrepreneurship program from Wharton and is a gold medalist from IIFT Ministry of Commerce. She's a certified counselor and an NLP coach. She's currently pursuing her International Coaching Federation certification and is envisioning to make coaching a mainstream transformative service in India. She's also researching the field of neurosciences and applications of other behavioral techniques like transaction analytics, get salt, and NLP. She's married to Amandeep and is blessed with a lovely daughter, Bunny. And she believes that if you want to fly fast, fly alone. But if you want to fly far, fly together. In conversation are these two incredible women who are going to bring to us so many nuances of everything that this is going to bring to the table. So over to you, Rajpreet and Dipali. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya, another incredible woman, I must say, and thanks for coming in today morning. And Dipali, we really welcome you to the platform, and it's more than a privilege and an honor to have you with us today doing the inaugural session. So, I was hearing, and it's like a real wow, so many awards and accolades. And on a lighter note, you must be like having a whole room full of trophies and honors.
I think I need to convince my team to mention less of them.
So I'm sure there are many more. And so Dipali, today's conversation is on a topic which is again, quite close to my heart now, which is networking. So, we want to hear your thoughts on what really networking means to you.
To me, it's about learning actually. If I look at myself, I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. And one of the key pillars of learning is learning from other people. If you can learn from other people's habits, successful experiences, and failures, I think that's the best way of, learning. So to me, networking is about that. And the second and very interesting thing about networking also is that I've been in sales and marketing all my life. One of the key pillars there is knowing your customer or knowing consumer. And the kind of people that I'm doing conversations with during networking are all people largely in the corporate world. You learn a lot about your customer, about trends in general, on the industry side, again through networking. So to me, these are the two things which I think of first when I think of networking. Of course, I'm very interested in people as a subject. There was a point of time in college when I wanted to study psychology. So I think this is also an offshoot of that.
Sure, Dipali. I think absolutely I could connect to that as I'm right now pursuing my master's in psychology. So, yes. But I do get it. And, but sometimes Dipali, networking may not come so naturally to another person.
That's right.
So, so what do you think, the person should do if it's not coming too naturally to her?
Okay, first let me just explain how I got lucky. And this is not about purposeful aspect of it, but certain instances in life just convert you like that. So I think by the time I finished college, I'd lived in some 6-7 different cities. I'd changed a couple of schools and colleges. Now as a result of that, you could become an introvert, and get into your own self, or you could be a person who goes out there and does it. The second coincidence that happened is that I think I was somewhere in grade 10 when I read this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. Very old book, but very interesting. If you ask me just now, I wouldn't be able to quote anything from there, but I know that it left a very strong impression on me just at the time when I was on the brink of going into college, and stuff like that. So those two things happened then. And then, when I started working, Rajpreet, I discovered that I'm a woman. Okay. You discovered that you're different. There is no positive or negative to it. It's not that there is a bias against you or bias for you. Depending on circumstances, both the things happen. There are times when it is advantageous to be a woman, and there are times when it is disadvantageous to be a woman. But one thing I discovered is that I'm a woman, and that it's not commonplace. When I started working 28 years ago, there was no conversation on diversity and inclusion. There was no, I was pretty much the first woman to do this. I was, one of the first two women management trainees that Tata Motors ever hired. So there were a lot of firsts that happened. On account of that, I also learned over the first 10 years of my working life, when I did not network at all. Okay, when I did not network at all, is when I discovered that men network differently, and I don't think that's going to work for me. Okay, so I've been on the other side in the first 10 years where I discovered that I had no networks. Whereas men would do the smoke breaks, they would, bond over dinner, they would bond over drink sessions, they would just bond. There were quite a lot of them also. Whereas I could not bond even if I wanted to, because there were hardly any women around. Right. And it was not always very easy for a person who doesn't smoke and doesn't drink, to bond on smoking breaks and, the evening get-togethers. I got I got an opportunity, when I was in HSBC. This was back in 2006. By that time, I had finished 13 years of working. Okay, to become part of a jury for SAIF. In fact, I took out that card recently, and I realized that, what is the kind of things that we did back then. So this is something new to me. I met a set of people over there whom I didn't know at all from anywhere. When I was with HSBC, Bombay Management Association invited me to, volunteer for something that they wanted done on Women's Day. And I think that's where the journey started. I at least discovered that by being on juries, by volunteering for, industry associations, I could build a network of people professionally, who were not necessarily my colleagues. Otherwise you could network only with your colleagues. So that's how I spread my wings into knowing other people in the industry. And I still to date strongly recommend to every woman that you look at please doing jury duties for your industry and specialization. Please look at volunteering for industry associations. Be very active over there. Teach at B schools. You notice that I'm on the academic advisory council. I actually recommend my formula to everyone. And, a lot of the times, sorry for the long monologue, Rajpreet, but, a lot of times I get asked this question of being an introvert or an extrovert, because I'm seen to be an extrovert and people think it comes easy to me. But what I say is that, when you're volunteering professionally, or you're a judge, professionally, it does not matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. What matters is what you bring to the table. You're on mute, Rajpreet.
So absolutely, Dipali. Thanks. So, it's been a pleasure listening to that. So 13 years, it took to really, be able to, for you to really stretch those wings. And I mean, I could really relate to it because even I believed earlier on in my career that my work will speak for itself. Why do I really need to go that extra mile to really build relationships? Or even if it is without an agenda, why not really go that extra mile? And then, of course, after becoming a mother, you're always short on time. So, so when I was really building this networking app and this platform, the whole idea was also to not, we don't have to spend 10-15 years to really understand and know about the power of networking.
Yes.
So, what is one essential element needed to build long-term connections as per you?
I've said this before at one of the forums. I'll say it in Hindi first and then explain. Long-term relationship building is like neki kar darya mein dal. If you believe in pay it forward, it'll come back to you, but you have no idea where it'll come back. Or think like the Gita, which is that you do the do the good karma and don't worry about the fruits, right? I think long term relationship building has to be for the sake of long term relationship building. It is about being able to stay in touch with other people who may be subject matter experts in some areas that you want to learn about. I think that's a maximum benefit that you can think of in the short term to build a long term relationship. Once again, I'm going and talking about learning, but yes, I may, have a focus towards building long-term relationships with people who are, established authorities in their work, and that complements me. I am not necessarily an expert in that area. So, for example, it is great to know somebody who's an absolute authority in English and is an English professor. It is great to know somebody who does, who's done probably 1,000 book reviews and reads far more than I do, and is able to compare, those books. These are people that I know. Okay, it is, it is great to know somebody who knows everything there is to know about mobile marketing, and because that person lives with, that space, which is professional knowledge for me. Or it is great to build a long-term relationship with a person who knows everything there is to know about ad fraud, because which is again a micro area, within the area that I work in. So I think that's the way I look at building long-term relationships, which is there should be nothing in it for me at the time that I start the relationship, except for the fact that you are among, intellectuals who will enhance, your knowledge. And they're also a bit like the KBC's call a friend, right? Phone call to a friend to sort you out of something. Now, if I want to know something on ad fraud or mobile marketing or English language or whatever, these are the people who are now, because they're friends, available on a call to me saying, okay, tell me this, I think that's the only benefit that I derive out of long-term relationship building. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
No, absolutely. In fact, as you were speaking, I was also suddenly reminded of this individual who was working with me at Bharti. And when I was just leaving one day from work, and the person was stuck in something, and I just had to drop my bag and just immediately help him out. And after that, we never really interacted. But 10 years later, when I was looking at some help in Sechi's, he just emerged in my environment, and he went that extra mile to help me out. So
Yeah.
when you spoke about karma, you spoke about, you do things, but they just come back to you. So you help others, and it just comes back. So that's so very nicely explained, Dipali. So if you look at some of the stats, I was reading that women are 20%, less likely to have those diverse and strong networks. So, what do you think really is the reason behind this, and what can be done about it?
I will only provide a hypothesis for the reason. I've not done research in that domain for me to know, but I think working women at least have a lot more on their plate. They have both, the societal context has ensured that they both need to be seen to be doing work, as well as seen to be doing work at home. I think that leaves lesser time on their table. They are the primary caregivers, both for the elders in the family as well as for the children. So that's possible. I think third is the safety aspect, of being able to be away at nights and so on and so forth. So there could be multiple reasons for that. I think what could be done about it is that be purposeful about the time that you have, which you want to devote for networking, or the kind of people that you want to, network with. I would imagine more purposefulness, and which is why I said that find your own way. I'm not sure what is the right way for everyone, but I will reiterate what worked for me is being very, very active at industry associations, jury duties, and in the academic world that I know.
Sure.
And of course, be willing to sacrifice. uh, you know think about it. Can you give up 4 hours of a moving going experience, with your family, for attending a function of an industry association? I think you've got to make those choices.
Yeah, it's a inside out, and overcoming that entire barrier that we have, for ourselves. So, Dipali, do you think that there is some more extra ingredient really required to network effectively?
I don't know whether an extra ingredient is required or not to network effectively, but if there was safety, involved in the people that you could network with, if they, if instead of me discovering whether this person is worth networking or not, I had a ready list of people, I think I would be able to network with many more people. I don't know. That sounds very esoteric, but yeah, since you asked me an extra ingredient, I wish I had that brush, because you want to network with people who are knowledgeable, who are trustworthy. Trustworthiness is also an aspect, because you want to do a conversation with them in a safe place, right? Men or women, right? So I wish there was a safety index that came with people.
Yeah, like a lie detector or a safety indicator, maybe. So,
Yeah.
in fact, on our Sechi's app, while it's right now just for women, we don't record any conversations unless the user chooses to really live stream it on YouTube.
Sure.
So we are trying to create that safe space, but I know what you're saying in terms of even the psychological safety and
Yes.
respect around confidentiality as well. So, so Dipali, like I've also learned it, the power of networking as I went along on my journey. I started reading things like, it's not really only about what you know, but who you know, that ultimately also determine, how successful, or how well known you are. So, what is the one thing that you would like to see a change in with respect to networking?
I think this who you know bit. I wish I had known this in 10 years ago. I think in the last 2 years is when I'm discovering this, that, who you know also matters. I have been very non purposeful about the who you know aspect. I have an eclectic group of friends, who feed the curiosity in my mind. And like I told you, the purpose has been learning. But I have never been purposeful in saying that, listen, I should network with people who can fund my business tomorrow. I've never been purposeful about so I don't think I have a VC in my network at all. Maybe two or three, but not, that is accidental, but not too many. Or I have networked with people who can give me jobs tomorrow. Not necessary, not at all. I think I've just naturally networked with people. And Rajpreet, I'm okay with that, actually, because I think there is a certain authenticity to the relationships and friends that I have. In fact, I don't even use the word network. I tend to use the word my friendship circle, in that sense, people that I'm friends with. So I'm not so sure about this whole statement of who you network with, because it sounds I think too practical, too methodical, and a little bit not authentic to me. But that's my point of view.
Sure, sure, absolutely. I think, yes, authenticity is very important. And in any relationship, be it a professional, personal, any relationship. So the more authentic the relationship, the more what you really believe in what is in the relationship, and the same is displayed outside and without an agenda, definitely. I think that really makes the connection long lasting if it's not really a purpose driven thing. But as long as you're doing it the right way and with the right intentions, I think it can be looked at in a very constructive way as well. And I've seen that those benefits. In fact, Sechi's itself is an example. I could build this organization only ultimately because of networking. People just started emerging in the environment as Buddhas and helping us move forward. So
Wow.
that all came in, like, for example, Saraswati, who's here, just as an example, as this, I worked with her in HSBC and she just emerged. So, it's just that, the whole message that possibly also that, we would like to drive is that we have to come out of our, shells and just be willing to engage with people and engage with their highest versions. So, thank you so much, Dipali, for all your views and thoughts. And I would invite Shreya also to share her thoughts and summarize. Shreya, you're there?
Yes, very much. I'm just connecting back. So I think I love what Dipali said about, engaging, about picking up on opportunities, about showing up for all those that come to you, whether it's engaging with students, whether it's engaging with communities. I think it's so important to sort of widen that net and, craft your story in some form. So thank you so much, Dipali. What I loved about the conversation is the fact that there is this touch of authenticity that both of you brought in, which I can't stress enough on, which is about being your authentic self, no matter where you are, whether it's personally or professionally or whatever, the space is. Last few questions to both of you would be, what is it that you think are 2 or 3 of the challenges that women in today's world really have to chase after any of these that you spoke about? And we'll close on that note.
I think one of the challenges that I see, and there is a study that we've done at IBM, about diversity and inclusion, Rajpreet. Happy to send that over to all of you to read. One of the things that they're talking about is that you need men to be involved, as mentors, as sponsors, as people that you network with, right? And those, I think, is a second level of difficulty that you face with. You make, I can tell you that about myself. I make friends far more easily with women, and that safety that I spoke about, totally exists when it comes to women. But I think, you develop a relationship in the network with the men over a period of time. It takes longer, and you definitely need men to be involved, to be the champions of anything that women are doing, for women to be successful.
So I think that's a very important point, Dipali, and we should not underestimate the importance of that, because ultimately we are working with men. What I would also like to add, Shreya, is that I think it's also a growth mindset that we need to bring to the table, because a lot of the challenges that we face are actually created by our own thinking and the barriers that we put for ourselves. So I think, moving ahead with that growth mindset and an inside out approach, and just being open to the possibility of trying something new. The next time we receive an invitation and we have to go, and just being open to that, I think that can also really help go a long way.
Wow, summing that up beautifully. I think the growth mindset.
Shreya, I just want to add
yes,
to what
yes.
And she said, so Carol Dweck's book, on this whole growth mindset, I strongly recommend. The second book that I recommend is Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. I think both the books are, very interesting for everybody to read. Back to you.
Yes, absolutely. I think that sums it up beautifully, because when you start looking at yourself as not just a cog in the wheel, but actually crafting the journey of your own life in the form and manner that you envision for it to be, and setting your goals accordingly, I think it just opens up for you. And of course, show up, like Rajpreet said. Opportunities can come knocking, but they won't do much if you don't show up to them. So thank you so much. It was beautiful. What a lovely kickstart to our first session. Thank you both, Dipali and Rajpreet. Dipali, thank you for coming here, spending your time with us. We hope to keep bringing you back with all of these insights and all of these amazing snippets of I wouldn't call it advice, but I think life lessons that you bring to the table. It was lovely to hear from you. And thank you, Rajpreet, for moderating that so beautifully. Thank you, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajpreet and Shreya, and all the best to you, women's team, for Say Cheese. May you be more successful every week, every month, every year.
Thank you so much, Dipali. And we would love to have you back once the iOS launch happens, so that the next session we do with you is actually on the app.
Done. Okay, Rajpreet, Shreya, Saraswati, Divya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dipali. Thank you. Bye-bye. For all those of you who are watching us live on YouTube, that was session 1. And imagine if this is the first of 100+ conversations that are panning out in the next couple of months. You can imagine the kind of insights and the kind of depth and the kind of range of women who are going to be coming and speaking to us. Like I said, incredible start to the first session. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our speaker for the next session. Rajpreet is going to continue to be in conversation with our lineup of speakers for today. And let me just bring to you our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Aarti Gupta. She belongs to the promoter family of the Jagran Group, a business house with interests spanning across media, and communications, education, real estate, and hosiery exports. Dr. Gupta leads the investment strategy for the family office and is the chief investment officer at DBR Ventures, an angel investing entity that invests in smart and transformative early stage startups. She's an investor in India's first reality startup funding TV show, Horses Stable. Named amongst the 22 top women investors in the country by Inc. 42, she looks for companies with innovative and transformative solutions to problems that exist on a larger scale. In addition, she has been serving as the director for AGA Publications, a print media company, for the last 12 years. She is an immediate past chairperson for FICCI Flow Kanpur and is currently serving as the national head for FICCI Flow Startups, an ecosystem for women founders and funders, where she's been instrumental in bringing forward pertinent issues relating to the growth of women entrepreneurs, both at the state and national levels. Dr. Gupta holds a PhD in economics from IIT Kanpur, is a postgraduate diploma in business studies from Harvard University, and a master's degree in economics from Northeastern University. Further, she's on the board of Harvard Alumni for Global Women Empowerment, IIT Kanpur's Social Incubator Invent, and is on the board as the advisor for Women's Entrepreneurial Committee for Merchant Chamber of UP. Without further ado, let me hand this back to Rajpreet, who's going to be interviewing Aarti. Aarti and Rajpreet, the stage is all yours. Over to both of you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Shreya, for that introduction. Thank you so much. So wonderful being here.
Hi, Aarti. Hi, it's a very good morning to you. And it's really, really an honor to have you with us today. And thank you for kindly agreeing on such a short notice to make it for the event. So thank you.
No, thank you, Rajpreet. The pleasure is all mine. And congratulations to you and the entire team of Say Cheese for launching this wonderful platform of, where women can have discourse on on topics which affect them. So congratulations to the team of Say Cheese.
Thank you. Thank you, Aarti. Thank you. So, we'll just begin with the topic for today, which is what makes really a woman unstoppable. So, Aarti, how would you define an unstoppable woman?
So, and I thought a little bit about this, and if you just go by the definition of the word unstoppable, it would mean, nothing will stop you from creating the life that you want. Nothing will stop you from creating your dream career. But I feel, Rajpreet, we here in India and in fact, all over the world, there are a large number of women who do not know or rather think about what they want. Very often it is what the family wants or what your children want, what your spouse or your parents want. We mold our lives to fulfill others' dreams. In fact, many of you who are listening in, we rarely don't even eat what we want. We usually cook or order meals depending on what others want to eat or what the family wants to eat. So for me, the very first step to being an unstoppable woman is to be willing to find out what you want. What is my purpose? What are my passions? Very often we get settled into this comfort zone of prioritizing everyone else's needs. So are we willing to be pushed out of that comfort zone, prioritize our dreams, our ambitions? And once we're ready to do that, and we're ready to put in the hard work to fulfill our dreams, I think then the future will belong to us. That's, in my opinion, will and should define an unstoppable woman.
That was beautifully said, Aarti. So it doesn't come very naturally to a lot of women, and including me as well. I know where I was and what I've actually worked on, and now the version that I am right now. And of course, there's still a long way to go. But recognizing your own, being self-aware of what really you want in life, and then pursuing that with all the hard work that you mentioned. So beautifully put, Aarti. So, Aarti, from managing the responsibilities at DBR Ventures to FICCI Flow, from being an angel investor to being on the board of directors, there's so much that you're already doing. So how do you really manage so much and with so much clarity?
Uh, Rajpreet, I think all of us women have multiple things we manage. You know, I have been fortunate to enjoy multiple roles in my life, and I'm very grateful for that. You know, not just the professional ones you mentioned, but also that of a mother, a wife, a daughter-in-law in a huge family, you know. So in addition to other roles of like professional roles, of managing our family office, being an angel investor, each role obviously presents itself with different challenges where every day I need to kind of adapt and deliver accordingly. And honestly, I would have loved to come here and say that, Rajpreet, everything is very, very perfect. I wake up, I have this, you know, color coded calendar or organizer where everything works prim and proper. I have X hours in my office. I completely disconnect myself, come home, and cuddle with my family, and this is my family time. But I hate to break the truth, it's never ever that. In today's day and age, I personally have never been able to disconnect myself completely from one aspect of my life to another. You know, it's very difficult to compartmentalize. The lines are too blurred. I think what at least has worked for me is, if there is chaos, I have learned to thrive in it. You know, I have learned to, I truly enjoy what I'm doing. Each of my roles is something where what I'm truly passionate about, you know, whether it's financial management, whether it's hearing a new startup idea or working towards women's empowerment issues. You know, it's something which I love doing. I don't feel burnt out at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, I'm totally knackered when I hit the bed. I'm super tired, but I'm excited to wake up the next day, you know, and get back to doing what I love doing. So, what has worked for me is definitely choosing a profession, uh, what I'm passionate about, and doing things which I'm passionate about. Obviously, in addition to this, I think one of the a very important aspect, and as cliche as it is, time management is the essence. Like, you know, you have to prioritize, arrange, design, and adapt, set goals according to what you want to do. You need to do all of that, and it's of essence. In addition to doing this, I think it's very important to perform activities according to your priority. And for that, we need to realize that we have only X number of hours in the day, and we need to learn to say no. So, again, doing what you love to do, time management. And finally, I think I've been blessed to have a very, very strong support system. You know, I've got this tribe of people with me, you know, with whose help I've been able to achieve or plan to continue to achieve uh, my dreams or fulfill my dreams, you know, whether it's my spouse, my in-laws, my parents, my daughter's school moms, my friends, the staff at home. I'm so, so grateful for my very, very strong support system.
So, Aarti, you know, all the things that you mentioned, you know, are so correct, because when we conducted surveys before starting Sechi's, some of these are not really, you know, not every lady is really blessed with all of this. And I must say that, you know, incidentally, Sechi's is actually offering all of this, right from Ikigai, you know, following your passion, to actually finding out what that really is, to actually, you know, time management and prioritization that you spoke of. We have experts who help in that. And then the ultimate vision, it's just so much tying up of creating that support ecosystem. You know, if like there is a lady and she needs 6-7 people in her, you know, as her board of directors or her personal board of directors who can really help her at a given phase in her life. So we try to create that support ecosystem for her. So you know, as you were speaking, I could just relate to, you know, how the journey is that we're trying to.
No, and that's so fantastic, Rajpreet. I would really, really encourage women to take this opportunity and reach out. There is no harm in seeking help or leaning into another woman or a man to say, like, you know, I need this help. I think we very often we we want to do everything ourselves. So, we hate to ask people. I think creating the right support system is what will help you truly fulfill your dream. So do ladies out there, just ask, for help. It's out there.
Absolutely. And so Aarti, women-led startups, we'll just move to that, where, the data shows that, they received 2.3% of the VC funding in 2020, which is even less than what it was in 2019, which is 2.9%. So only about 12% of the decision makers in VC firms are women. So you are an investor at Horses Table. So what are some of the key aspects that you look at, in really a founder, a woman founder, if I may ask?
Sure. I think you rightly said, the funding which women-led founders receive is much lesser. There is a disbalance in women investors as well in the ecosystem. And we are trying to change that through organizations like Vicky Flow Startup Cells, where we're kind of promoting more women investors and training them. Some of the key aspects which I look for, honestly, I do not differentiate what I'm looking for in a startup, whether it's a male or a female founded, For me, the parameters are the same, and definitely the usual ones are there. And a lot of you would have already heard this. A good business plan, what is the experience which the team brings in, the market, the requirement for the problem, the requirement for that startup, what is that problem which you're trying to solve, and definitely your ability to execute. So these are the usual ones which you look through in a business plan and when you meet the team. But in addition to this, I invest in seed and pre-series A stage. And at that point, the startup is very, very new. So what I really, really bet on is the founder and the team, and what I'm really looking for is grit, Startups itself is a very, very hard journey. And while I've not been a startup founder myself, I have seen over the course of last few years what a roller coaster ride it's been through for each of my founders, in the companies I've invested into. You're struggling when the company is not growing. You're struggling when the company is growing too much, because hypergrowth is also difficult. It requires an ability to tolerate high pressure. It requires, and if this tenacity. And if you have grit, and different founders have different reasons for this grit. It could be a personal experience, you went through something and that is why you founded this company, or it could be a competitive streak in you or a deep passion towards the cause. But as long as you have this grit, and this is what I really, really look for in a founder, it will help you get over any of the problems which come across in this whole roller coaster journey. Another aspect which I think I look for in a founder is, growth mindset. And I feel a lot of times women founders kind of restrict themselves in this particular aspect. As an investor, we're looking for founders who can think beyond what the data shows. What you and me can see. I want you to show me your dream, show or show me the bigger picture. And a lot of times women are afraid to have this dream gene in them. They don't like to see that larger picture. And I really feel that the founder with the right growth mindset is the one to truly bet on, with the one who's not afraid to execute and fulfill their ideas to the fullest.
Absolutely, Aarti. And being a founder myself, I could so much, there was a lot of learning and so much that I could relate to, especially, this entire journey, as you mentioned, and so rightly understood that it's not easy. And it is the why, that dream, that really keeps you going, because there are so many moments of setback. And it is really the why, at least in my case, that, that just keeps me going. So I think that's really important. And also, when you spoke of, at times, women also believe that we believe more in delivering than committing. But, at the same time, it is important to talk about that dream and talk about that vision. So, so thanks, Aarti, for, really mentioning that and bringing it to the table, and all our listeners on YouTube. So, thanks really for bringing this aspect.
Rajpreet, I would say that, you must talk to yourself about that dream and that why every single day. Like, I think, and I'm telling you by personal experience, I hesitate to say things out loud, say out that big, large dream. Like, but only when you say that to yourself, imagine if you're not able to say it to yourself, how will you say it out to the world? So if you have that big, grand vision, say it to yourself every single day and it will come true.
Cheers to that. I know even to say it to yourself is so difficult.
Yes.
So I completely can relate to what you're saying, Aarti. It's not easy. And so, I mean, great thoughts, great thoughts. So moving on, so Aarti, some more ingredients, in an unstoppable woman that we would like to hear from you about.
So obviously I touched upon a few things in my, when you asked me this question first. And for me, I think a very, very key ingredient, I would say, is in becoming an unstoppable woman. And that's kind of expanding on what we were just saying in the previous question also, right? Again, do not think linear, think exponential. I feel as humans, we are wired to think linear, right? Local. Our ancestors were confined into the same locality, city or village they grew up in. And today we live in a world which is completely exponential and global. Last couple of years is the living proof of that, right? Something happened in China and the entire world literally in days was locked down. Similarly, in the last year, we've seen in the startup ecosystem, companies go from zero to billions of dollars in valuation in just about 12, 15, 20 months. And that exponential curve is only growing, kind of a thing. So my suggestion or my take on being an unstoppable woman would be to think linear, to not think linear, but think exponential. And to give you a visualization of this, and a lot of you must have heard it, but I'd really like to think about this, If I were to take 30 linear steps, where would you reach? You would just reach about 30 inches away, or like 30 meters away maximum. Imagine if I would ask you to take 30 exponential steps, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 16, 32. Where would you end up? You would end up 1 billion meters away. It's 26 times around the planet. We women, we love a growth path which we can predict. And thus that restricts us and our thinking to being very linear. We like to take steps which we can see, we like to kind of measure the risk and not take those risky moves, So I think it's very, very important, if you want to be unstoppable, that you think exponential, because only when you think exponential will you be able to dream and fulfill that dream.
That was full of inspiration, Aarti. And so, we'll also talk about, I think, something which is, again, very much talked about, and a cliche, I may say, but work-life balance, since, you are also managing so much. So, do you think that, we are just supposed to know it inherently as women, how to do it? Or what really is done about maintaining this entire balance?
So, Rajveer, I think all women including our moms and grandmoms and everything. I think we have this natural ability to spin up 50 plates up in the air and know which one is going to fall first and catch it. It's we've learned it. I think it's ingrained in us, this whole multitasking capacity, and that's our biggest advantage, right? Like that's something which we have in our genes, I can say. So having said that, I think there is a lot of societal pressure on women, and to have this perfect work life and perfect home, perfect children, this balanced aura and everything. I think we need to shift that focus, both from our own minds as well as from a societal level, right? I think it's okay to have a little chaos around. It's okay as long as you have a happy work life, a happy home, happy children. I think we should, and this is just coming from a very personal space, very personal experience. I used to put in so much effort into having like the best of homes, the best of food on the table, and I would kill myself because you're working and you're trying to do this and that. But it's okay to have a little chaos. So I think we should stop talking and stressing so much on the balance and let us women find happiness in the chaos. We need to, it's okay. Like, if there are certain days when you need to work on Sundays, and there are certain times when you need to pick up your child's call in between a meeting, and that's completely okay. We should be okay with that, and so should the people around us.
Absolutely, Aarti. So Aarti, today, is the official inaugural day for our mobile app launch. And I know you have an iOS device and have not yet experienced it. And apologies for that. We are just, we'll be launching it in the next 1 week or so. It's already submitted. But yeah, for our Android users, they're already live on the app. And so, anything that you would like to share about networking and how really, the communities can really collaborate through the power of networking? Any thoughts of that as a closing remark, and any thoughts from you?
I mean, I would really like to tell all the women out there that, first of all, like, recognize your own strengths and talents and share your expertise. Networking and reaching out is so paramount for us women, and we kind of put that in the back seat. Like, you usually find men are so good at networking. Like, they will like, and we women are normally so hesitant to go out there and meet new people. So platforms like this is very, very essential for women to come out and network. And when you network, I think it's very important for every woman to get herself a good mentor. And this just does not have to be another woman. It can be a man as well. Like, I personally cannot stress enough on the role of good mentors in your life, someone who can be your sounding board. So reach out to platforms like Say Cheese and see if you can find those good mentors out there. And don't hesitate to just send in a message. I have reached out to so many people and I've said, hey, I have this, I'm stuck here. Can you help me with this? So reach out. The worst that can happen is someone will say, no, I cannot do this. I cannot be your mentor. I cannot help you with this. But that's the worst which can happen, right? But if you get a good mentor, it can truly change your life. Also use platforms like this to keep reinventing and learning. I personally take an educational vacation every year. Myself, I go out there and learn something new. And whether it's online or, whether going physically, again, platforms like Say Cheese and other networks help you to kind of reinvent and keep learning. And most importantly, such platforms are very important to voice what you want to say. A lot of times we women don't have a voice, or we have so many ideas, but we don't know where to put them out. So voice, if you want something, voice it, I think today we have everything which we need to be successful. The cape is already there. It has our names on it. Let's not wait for someone to hand it to us or give us the permission to wear them or to be unstoppable. I think let's ourselves be unstoppable.
Absolutely, Aarti. I think that possibility is out there, and it's for us to really go ahead and come out of our own barriers. And really, the Sechis is also here to hear that every voice is heard, every smile matters, and women can come and really network like never before. So, Aarti, I must say that this was a very heart-to-heart conversation. And thanks for sharing your views. I think Shreya is here. Shreya, over to you. If you are, if you could just summarize.
So I think, that was so right. It was such a heart to heart. I think there were so many aspects of so many questions that we go on as our journeys carry on that you could relate to. And I love those little snippets. And the whole closure of the conversation was just so perfect, of being unstoppable. So often we forget that it's very lonely. When, especially as an entrepreneur, they say it's lonely at the top. Try being an entrepreneur, then you know what real lonely is. But I think all of those aspects, and what I loved was that little bit about trying to not be the perfect versions of ourselves all the time. Not the perfect meal at the table, not the perfect home, but just enjoy and live in the moment. I think it's so true. And like you said, Rajpreet, all the coming into and coming alive in that conversation. Thank you so much, Aarti and Rajpreet. Thank you for walking us through that beautiful heart to heart that you guys had. I think one of the only questions that I probably have for both of you is, it is lonely no matter where you are, right? Especially as a woman, because like Aarti said, you're listening to everybody, you're catering to everybody. But there is very often this thing of letting yourself slip in that mad rush of catering to everybody. So what do you do? What can women do? What are the simple things that you both do, for instance, that somebody could take away and apply to their own lives? Can you guys hear me?
I lost Shreya for a bit in between. I'm not sure if it's my connection.
I just asked, is it fine now? Is it clear now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So I was just asking, what can you do as women who are dealing with some form of loneliness or, constantly putting others ahead of themselves and not really doing much for themselves? Where can they start? Where is that beginning? What can they do for themselves that will help ease their lives a little bit?
I think, Shreya, one of the first, obviously, there are a lot of women who feel this, and it is a lonely journey, whether at the top or at different aspects in your life. I think one of the first, and I will come back to where I started, right? Like recognizing what you want. I think talking to yourself about what you want, and I saw this so much in my mom and my grandmom. They don't even want to admit or say that this is what I want, because when you, as much as we like to be selfless, like when you put your needs at the back, you at some point you start feeling really unhappy, right? That kind of eats you away. And we don't talk about this enough. Like, normally women who put their needs, their ambitions, their dreams on top are given this whole villain look, like, oh my God, like she's so selfish. Like we need to stop doing that. We need to get out of this guilt that we've put ourselves first, because like they say, like you can only pour out of a cup which is full, right? So you need to fill your own cup. So fill that cup every single day. Talk to yourself about what you want. I do that, and it's a recent practice which I've picked up, and I cannot stress upon what a difference it's made. Like I get up and I talk to myself that this is what I want, because I'm a mother to a 12-year-old, and I've been working throughout, like ever since she was born. And that guilt doesn't go away, right? And talking to myself really, really helps. So, it's okay. Like, so I think pour into your cup is what I would like to say.
Beautiful. On that note, thank you so much, Aarti, for joining us, for starting off the one of many hundreds of conversations that are going to come our way in the course of the next couple of months on Say Cheese. And hope to see you once the iOS app is launched online. So thank you so much for taking time out, for being a part of this journey with us, and looking forward to bringing you back several times over to have different versions of these conversations. Thank you.
Absolutely. And congratulations, Rajpreet and the entire team. It was so wonderful to be here, and good luck to all of you. You're truly making a difference, and I'm so happy to be a small part of this. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So glad, so glad. Thank you, Aarti. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, all of you who are joining us live on YouTube, those were two of the conversation starters for the launch of Say Cheese. And like I said, if this is the beginning, imagine what lies beneath the surface. Without further ado, moving on into our next conversation, our next speaker is again somebody very renowned, very interesting in terms of her background. Kiran Sethi is an Indian designer, educationist, education reformer, and social entrepreneur. With a degree in visual communication from the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, she began her career designing restaurants and later writing for newspapers. While she'd always been interested in design thinking and design experiences, it was when her children started going to school that Sethi recognized her true calling. Dismayed by the unfriendly and rigid atmosphere in schools, she set up the Riverside School in Ahmedabad, followed by APRO-CH, and finally Design for Change, which is today the largest movement of change and for and by the children. Over the years, Kiran's Riverside and Design for Change have won several accolades and awards. Some of the recent ones are the Earth Prize, the Rockefeller Innovation Award, the Lego Reimagine Award, the Lexus Prize, the Light of Freedom Award, and more recently, Induction of Design for Change, which was one of the 7 innovations in the first ever Hundreds Hall of Fame. Born in Bangalore in India, Kiran Sethi comes from a family of designers. She lives in Ahmedabad with her 2 children, Rag and Jazz, and her husband, Geet. She loves life, dark chocolates, and Govinda movies. I can't wait for this conversation to begin. Rajpreet, it's over to you and to Kiran. Thank you, Kiran, for joining us. Looking forward to this one. And what a lovely space to be in, to change the format and framework of education, which truly carves the way for the future. So over to you guys, and see you in a bit.
Hi, Kiran. Hi, Kiran. Am I audible?
Yeah. Hi, Rajpreet.
Yeah, hi, Kiran. So nice to have you on our platform today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think, with so many accomplishments to your name, I think you already are an unstoppable woman. And that's what is the topic for today as well. So Kiran, how really do you define an unstoppable woman?
Oh my God. I mean, I've been called many things, and I'm often surprised by the labels that people put on the work you do. And I keep thinking, my God, all you do is just do the work, whether it is unstoppable or whether it is a social entrepreneur. I'm not necessarily a fan of the label that defines what you do. And I think it's true for anybody who sets out to just land up every day, show up every morning and say, okay, I'm here and I have to do the best that I can. So I feel that moniker, as it was, I'm not necessarily clear about what that means. But I think in hindsight, if I'm looking at the unique luxury and conditions I had growing up, I think that really possibly planted the seeds of whether it is unstoppable or whether it is living out your life. And I think that happened with my parents. I grew up, I'm the youngest of 3, and I have my sister and a brother. And I think what happened very early on is I never understood what embarrassment was. So I never understood what it meant to be embarrassed. So I think that was a massive liberation and freedom. I was super shameless, and nobody ever told me that that was the wrong thing. And I never understood what my gender defined me or confined me. It just didn't. I was, and I think those possibly were the ingredients of building a sense of self and a sense of my own story and how it was unraveling. And I feel really that possibly was where the roots were set. And then the sort of, one was able to really live out with freedom and with joy, whatever one encountered in life. So I think that possibly in my humble understanding of my 56 years on the planet is what it means to not be confined and not be defined also.
That was beautifully put. Kiran, you reminded me of, whether success leads to happiness or vice versa. And I kept reading that happy people are more successful and, and not the other way around. And also, as a student now of psychology, I'm still learning and reading that the more the free child in you is nurtured, the more really the freedom that you spoke of, the more you blossom. So I think, it's just coming so naturally. And when already, let me also make a comment on the beautiful background that I see, the greenhouse kind of effect. It already makes me feel I'm talking to this designer, and it's so beautiful. So,
actually, I can't take credit for this. I am currently on a family getaway. We came, and this is this beautiful Black Buck resort that I would give all the credit to. If anybody wants to come and take a lovely vacation, Black Buck Resort run by a dear friend, Mickey Desai. So this is all.
Okay. So, Kiran, you have been an inspiring leader in the field of education. So how has been your journey in bringing about this social change?
I don't know whether there's a journey to bring about a social change. I think I encountered very intimately an education that rewarded compliance and being good over creativity and conversation. So, and as a designer, I believe the organizing principle of what design does is understand the user. Okay, and then with the user, design the solution. Education has forever kept our children incidental to the program. We design for them and we think we know everything that they need to do. So it's a very us and them idea. So I feel that as a mother, my response was to a crisis, but as a designer, I responded to the opportunity. I said, my God, there has to be a better way. I mean, this can't be it. And unlike how we respond to crisis, typically we'll say, what can one person do? This is the way it's always been. I turned out okay. And we leave it to chance, right? I felt here's an opportunity of how do you bring the user into the conversation and bring design thinking principles to have children really design their own journeys. So I from that churned out this idea that if we are human by chance, can we become humane by design? And if education's greatest contribution is to get us to become humane, citizens who take choices that are more empathetic, that are more ethical, that pursue excellence, that elevate each other. These are the E's, the value proposition that we then at Riverside used as our, I would say, DNA to craft a way to get children to graduate as citizens who have a mindset for the greater good. So whether it's a social change or whatever, I don't know. But I do know that a lot of the alumni who have graduated are telling us that in those little ways, they're making their world a little bit more just and a little bit more equitable. And I think that's a really good story to be part of.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And, at Sechi's also, we believe you use the word better good. So, that's what we also stand for, which is a good of not just for yourself and your family, but also for the larger good of the society at large. So I think it just means so much. And being a mother myself, I've been, when I was putting my child onto a school, we were really frantically searching for schools which also emphasize a lot on the value education. Because as corporate professionals, we do realize that the technical skills can really take you this far. And in those adverse situations, it is those values that really keep you going. So one, am I audible? Yeah.
You suddenly froze for a little bit, but
yeah.
You're back.
Okay, great. So, Kiran, yeah.
Yes.
Of the 4 billion people living in urban areas today, nearly a third of them are children. And it is estimated that by 2050, more than 70% of the world's children will live in urban areas and even in slums. So there's a lot of initiative done by UNICEF. And I would love to hear more about your vision to make cities more child-friendly and what really led you onto this mission.
This UNICEF has a mandate of making cities child-friendly. They come from very infrastructural design solutions. Like, for instance, there should be street lighting. Very simple thing, but a wonderful thing to make sure that if there's street lights, the child is more safer because there's light on the streets. Or free public transport, where children can get onto a bus, free and safe public transport. The child gets onto any public transport and safely reaches the end destination. These are some of the mandates that UNICEF has crafted. However, when I was talking to my first 7th graders, talking about, how I grew up playing on the streets of Bangalore, Dabba Ice Spice and, or all of these games, I asked them what were they doing when they went home. And a lot of them basically came back saying that parents don't feel safe sending children out onto the streets because of what our cities had become. And that kind of started this whole conversation with the city. How can a city design for childhood? How can a city nurture childhood? And that's when the children of Riverside went to meet the police, traffic police and the municipality. And I am an NID, considering we were the best design and business minds in the city. We said, why have we not done much more for the city? So it really became a collaborative citizen initiative where we requested the city to open up its hearts and its doors for the child. And so several of the initiatives that happened with approach, which is a protagonist in every child, emerged from the idea that if a city cares for its child, then one day when the child becomes a citizen of the city, it'll return back, right? It's a simple cycle of care. And that's how approach started in 2007. In fact, we're celebrating 15 years, where we have our parks of the city light up with, laughter and joy because children are playing games and parents are there. It's all citizen run, completely free. Then we close down the busiest street for traffic, which is Law Garden. If anybody knows Ahmedabad, they'll realize what that street is. And we children. Then we get the city, the multiplexes, and say, can you give us free cinema viewing for children on the street or NGOs, so we can have a popcorn and an experience. So through that became this making Ahmedabad a child-friendly city. And then therefore it then traveled across many other cities in India and a couple of countries. But that really became a conversation and a partnership with the citizens of a city to say, how do we care for childhood? Because again, I keep saying, if a city cares, or we claim that as a society we love our children, how can we make streets have no cycling paths? How do we create more malls over parks in cities? How do you design cities that remove the child from its partnership? So it sort of emerged from that, and we are celebrating 15 years this year of approach.
So, Kiran, as you were speaking, I was also trying to remember my childhood, which was in a small place, Jamshedpur, and which is full of CSR initiatives by Tatas, and it has beautiful parks. And as far as you can see, it's greenery. And right now, during COVID times, when we were for some time in Jamshedpur, and right now we are in Mumbai, I can tell you how much my daughter really, really misses to be in those parks. And so that part, whether the coming generation is really able to enjoy, is something, there's so much great work that you're doing in there. And as you spoke about the circle, the karmic circle, really paying it back. So I think it's all so beautiful. And it's not an easy journey, Kiran, I'm sure. And so, you may have faced certain setbacks, obstacles, and, and still, that's why I said unstoppable, meaning that you still kept on, right? The grit, the persistence. So, what really kept you going on this journey,
I had shared earlier that I'm pretty shameless, so I think that is a key ingredient to help you take every day. And one of the things that I've learned is that whilst talent is overrated, I think stamina is what you need. I've had too many people who have great ideas and say, "Oh, I'm so talented," and in 2 years we don't see these people, because I think this the stamina. And this is one thing I think my role model, or my lighthouse, Mahatma Gandhi, keeps sharing, that it's the stamina for landing up every single day and fighting the good fight. And I think along with stamina, I keep saying you have to have a sense of humor. You can't go through life, because the world needs your compassion and your joy, not your fatigue, and not your, oh my God, look at me, I'm such a smart ass. And none of that, right? So I think if one recognizes that our life's purpose is slightly bigger than your own nose, then you are able to take an extra step with that sense of joy. And I've been super, super blessed. Like I said, firstly, with my family, growing up with the parents I got, going to NID, I thought that was such a game changer for me personally, just to understand what purpose and passion were. Because a lot of people have passion, but passion doesn't often find purpose. So I think that I found when I became a mother. So I had all the passion in the world, and I was doing these super interesting, lovely restaurants and having such a great time. But I think the ideas that I was being built for this moment of being a mother, and then possibly using my education in design to put design back into education with school. So I think it was really multiple things like that. And then, of course, just land up and don't take yourself too seriously. I find that's been some important lessons I have learned, and I've been surrounded by some amazing people. My team, I don't do this alone. I don't think any of us walk this planet alone. And to recognize that very early on is something that you owe to yourself if you want to be in this for the long run. I think any passion is not a 100-meter dash, right? It's a marathon race, and you land up and you take your stops. And like right now, I'm taking my own little they say the service garage. I'm going recharging myself so I can have another 1 month of work. So yeah, it's been, I have been super grateful, super grateful. I think gratitude is the one overwhelming feeling that I harbor now in my heart. Just super thankful that I have one more day to do stuff that I so love doing.
Wow. So really nice listening to your views, and the free child always emerging, the sense of humor that you spoke of. A lot of times, we're just so caught up, and I can tell you about myself that, these little moments of joy, which we should not miss out on. I think to recharge our batteries and also spread that happiness in people around us. I think that's so very important.
That's why Govinda movies.
Okay.
I have to say, it is the best antidote to any day. Paji, I'm so in heaven when I see his movies.
Okay. So, Kiran, as you know, we are launching our entire app today, which is a lot focused on, women networking. And again, with purpose, and, because there are a lot of connections that we make on social media. So the whole idea is that, but how much are we truly, really connected to with each of them? So have these conversations, build those connections, which we may actually, not be otherwise doing, and have this one single destination where all women across India or possibly across the globe are connected. So that's what we are really moving on. So Kiran, how do you think networking has played a role in your life? And what would you really give as a message to the audience watching us on YouTube?
I've had different relationship with networking. When I started, I think it was a primary a way for me to let the world know I existed, or the work existed, or Riverside existed. So I remember when I was lucky enough to be invited for these conferences after a certain time of working with Riverside, etc., I would make big lists. Oh, I have to meet these people and these people, I'd make all that thing. But after a while, I got fatigued. Because networking is not just the first meeting. It is the follow-up. It is the being ghosted. It is the fact that it's not personal when somebody ghosts you after thinking that you're the most amazing person on the planet. And I've gone through all of it. And at this point, I think I'm so much more at peace to say that if I have to make reach out or make a connection, like I said, my shamelessness is super, super easy here. I just reach out and I say, what's the worst that can happen? Somebody will say, I don't want to talk to you. Big deal, right? But I've reached here because networking has been at different times a different relationship. I'm not that interested at this time in my life. I really need to breathe. I need to slow down. I need to say it's been fantastic. And so I'm less into, I have to make these connections at this moment. I've needed to do it for the work I do. I'm super antisocial otherwise. Meaning once I reach home, I want my space. I have no interest in meeting anybody or going out because my work is so external. So my time is super internal, and I'm just super, super greedy about that. So for my work, you'll find me making those connections and connecting with people, etc. Because I run a global movement as well, so it requires all of that. But so I don't know. I find that for when you start off something, you need it, and then when you reach a certain time in your space, you are super careful about where and whom you need and where you go. I have my 5 go-to people who are extremely brutal with me and honest, and I think if you have that with you, you're set. Everything else is just bonus and great. So yeah, I'm at that space when I'm saying, okay, if I don't meet another human being for another week, I'm perfectly fine.
Sure. So I think what is also important is, where you are at this point in juncture, at what juncture you are in your life. And for example, I always felt that my work will speak for itself and I don't really need to do it. But then I realized the power and the benefits it has. And, how you can really, really nurture some of the relationships and they emerge when you really need it. And you have this person whom you can just reach out to who can help you, and which otherwise would have taken you the longer way. But it's great to have you with us today, Kiran, and share your beautiful vision and share with us about the work that you're doing. And incredible. And definitely, if we come to Ahmedabad, we would love to visit the school. And I saw the peacocks video recently that you had posted. It was so beautiful.
I keep saying, please come and have coffee with Kiran. It'll be a much better. It'll be a much better conversation, I'll show you.
Absolutely. I think I see Shreya. So Shreya, if you would like to summarize and share thoughts quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I love what Kiran said about cities. Because when you look at the entire layout of how cities have an impact on our minds and our growing up and our upbringing, there is have all sort of 1 second, I think my network went off a little bit. So I was saying that autiers, poets, authors have all found these relationships with the cities that they're in, whether it's the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, which speaks about the yellow smoke that goes up in cities, of cities that you see in films. I love that way, the way that Kiran brought that to the fore, and the play out of how childhood sort of interlaces with Thank you, Kiran, for that. And of course, the way you close, saying, I think that is so important to say that this is it. This is what I need to do, and this is my time, and that's sacrosanct. So I think all of these little elements that you both brought into the conversation was so incredible. Congratulations on the amazing work that you do, Kiran. And when I'm in Ahmedabad, I'm surely going to catch up on that coffee with Kiran. The entire idea of design and education and the passion and commitment with which you speak is very infectious. I'm so glad that you joined us here today. On a last parting note, I think one question that I would have for you is, what can we all do to make a small impact? What can we do as able to create something? But what is it that I can do from my standing? What can we all do as citizens to involve ourselves in some form of change or shift?
More and more, I've been my realization that choice is a fantastic word, right? Choice. And the more you exercise it on a daily basis, you leave the world a little better, a little kinder. So I feel it's not large ideas that need to change the world. It's in a choice you take to say a kind word, to hug somebody. And you must do it and exercise that choice today, not tomorrow, not next week. I find that we keep deferring the promise of good work. Abhi next week karenge, or even to tell somebody you love them, or to apologize, or to reach out. And I have found the tremendous power in today and the now, and exercising the choice. So I feel it just is incredible. I see it with children. I see the fact that every day when not only my 2, but my 450 that are at school, I don't lose a choice to tell them, I love you all. I might not like you today, but I love you. And to hug them and to say, I missed you. And my face should light up when I see. And especially as mothers, and if there are women here and their mothers, I find that we keep having that mother's face when we look at our children. It's always this frown. What have you not done? Why have you not done your homework? Why are you not eating food? So I think if you can light up your face with first telling your child that you are here and it's an important relation and I love you, I feel that it sets everything as it is meant to be. And again, coming from having experienced that when I was young, seeing what it does as a balm, it heals so much for so many of my children that I meet at Riverside, and my own too. Now my son is 31, my daughter is 27, but I still hug them and I say, I love you. And I don't care if they feel embarrassed. I don't care. I'm going to tell you loudly and passionately that I love you. So I think if you can do that, when the time goes and you pass, I think you'll be leaving a lot of good things in people's minds and hearts. That's so wonderful to live.
Oh my God, I think what a lovely note to bring this conversation to its, I don't want to let go, but it's so beautiful. It's so lovely to see that joyfulness, Kiran. And when you're saying it, I can feel it here. So I think everybody who's watching is feeling that too. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your holiday, of joining us here, of joining the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you.
So there you go, everybody watching us live on YouTube. Third of the incredible opening conversations that we've chosen to start the launch of Sechi's.life with. And boy, is this incredible. What a way to start a Monday, Rajpreet. I mean, this is just like dose after dose of exciting conversations. And that's just incredibly empowering and inspiring and all of that.
And I think each, bringing it's such a different perspective to the table. So much with, all women have to offer and so much to learn.
Yes. 10,000 plus is our community of women and counting on our web application. The iOS app is coming up in a week. The Android app is already up and running. As for all those of you watching, if you liked some of this content that you've just been privy to, imagine a space where it's all of this and a lot more of positivity, of affirmations, of encouragement, of vision boarding, of goal setting, of careers, of relationships, master classes. I mean, the list is infinite. I love how Say Cheese has thought of every single aspect that could potentially sort of gear you into a more fulfilling, holistic life and lifestyle. So that's what we have. And we're very closely up and coming on our last segment for the morning half of today. And that is with two incredible speakers again, and they're already here. I see that Ruchira and Nirja are here. Let me quickly introduce them without any delay. Ruchira Jaitley is working as EVP Marketing at Diageo. She's built up some of the biggest brands for PepsiCo in India, like Kurkure and Mountain Dew. At Royal DSM, Ruchira created an F&B nutrition startup business unit called Mandi, then to launch a portfolio of F&B solutions aimed at combating the challenge of malnutrition, and launched a B2C business, New Shakti. She's also worked with Unilever and HMD, home of Nokia phones. Ruchira is also a mentor at Vedika Women's Alliance and founder at Ashoka University, Sonipat, Haryana. Ruchira, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to Say Cheese and welcome to the launch.
Thank you. Thanks, Shreya. I'm really excited to be here. I got a sneak peek. I was listening to Kiran and my God, what energy and positivity. And like you said, what a way to not just start a Monday, but also the beginning of this year. So thanks for inviting me to be a part of this. Yeah.
Yes, and joining Ruchira and all of us is none other than Nirja Ganesh, who's a consultant with Aspire for Her, where she mentors women aspiring to grow in their careers. She also conducts various training programs on leadership and behaviors. She switched her career to work in the space of gender diversity after a successful career in the IT industry, managing large teams, delivery of IT projects, operational excellence, and customer delight for large banking captives for 25 years. Prior to Aspire for Her, she served as the Director Relationships at National Education Society of Karnataka. She's invited by various prestigious forums like Lean In, IEEE, PMI, TIE across the globe to deliver talks on a variety of topics. Networking for Results and How to Tell Your Story are two of her signature programs. She's currently writing her first book titled You Have Arrived, No Glass Ceilings, No Broken Rungs, No Glass Cliffs, which she believes would be a large influence on the readers, especially to young girls and women in terms of navigating their life and career successfully. She's won multiple awards, more recent being the Jobs for Her Rising Award in the Women in Impact category. And she's also been featured as one of the 40 women who've traversed their life journeys from ordinary to extraordinary in the book Magical 40 at 40. So I can't tell you how exciting this conversation is going to pan out with Ruchira and Nirja, both of them having broken a lot of things, not just glass ceilings. So let me start off first with my first question. The whole idea of bringing both of you into this conversation was to look at unstoppable women and what these unstoppable women on their journeys can be and can be defined. So I'll start with Ruchira and come to Nirja on this question. What are some of the things women need to take care of on this daring journey to becoming unstoppable? Or is it daring? Or what is it? Ruchira, we'll start with you and Nirja.
You know, I don't know. And this is a question that comes to me very often when I speak to women who are starting out on their journey, Shreya, because very often when you start out, it looks like, oh my God, there's this huge mountain ahead. And how do you get through it, right? And it seems like there's so many goals. And that's the thing with, I think, women. And I'm not saying this because I don't feel for, you know, our other very compassionate gender as things go today. But I think we do take on a lot. We're already thinking ahead, right? How am I going to, and to your point on unstoppable, what's coming in our head? Oh, I want to be unstoppable. But, you know, at some point I'll have to get married and then I have to have kids. And what am I going to do when I have kids and how will I mean, there are people who haven't got married yet who are already thinking about how they're going to balance their career when they've got 2 children, which they want. And that's right. You have to. I mean, you do want to have a full life. And I'd be the last person to say that a career is a substitute for everything else in your life. But I think the first thing that I typically say is take it one step at a time. You can't look ahead. You can't you can't play out every scenario in your head, and that's possibly enough to get you frozen in place. And look at the time we're living in today. Did anyone know that the last 2 years are going to pan out the way they have, right? And things have happened. People have moved on. In some cases, people have saved more money than they ever thought they'd save in their lives, right? So there's always an upside to a number of things. But what my personal mantra has been, and only as a share, it's not, like I said, there are different strokes for everyone. My personal mantra has been, one, do something that you know you're going to love doing, at least while you're doing it. Things could change, but do what you love. It's a great way for you to ensure that you get that energy to wake up. There are going to be days which are slogs. There's going to be a Sunday evening where you're like, I do not want Monday to happen. But you know what? Do what you love. You'll get through that Monday, and then there'll be the Tuesday and the Wednesday when things will work out. The other thing that I think women need to cultivate is resilience. There's going to be stuff that comes at them. I think in the industrial construct, in the way that careers have panned out over the last 50 years, I think men have discovered resilience, right? I mean, I look at my parents, etc. They did jobs they didn't really care about too much, but they did it because they had to get to that 60 and that retirement piece. So you have to be resilient. And if you're doing what you love, the resilience is something that will get you through those days when things don't work. And the last one that I've personally held close to me, and I've been very lucky. I mean, knock on wood, I've been really lucky in getting those experiences. Hold on to the values that empower you. And I think that's true for every individual. And none of these, by the way, are particularly gender specific. I think they just play themselves out more sharply for women. And values that empower me are values of honesty, transparency, integrity at work, working with people in a shared values construct. So it's not okay for me to be in a place where maybe that's not a given. And that, I think, again, makes me wake up and say, okay, life is going to be tough. I have a really, really difficult review. I've had a bad year at work. But you know what? I know I'm in a safe space. And for a lot of women, that's very important too. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Neerja, I know you speak so passionately about this as well. So I love the perspectives that are coming up in the conversation, but tell us a little bit. I know I even know which are the ones that you probably align and resonate with instantly. So it's exciting to hear from both of you.
Thank you. So I will start by saying that the only thing that can stop us today in having this conversation is my internet. So I hope it takes us along. Otherwise, there's nothing that can stop us. All right. So let me, answer this question, a little differently. So I think all of us think of unstoppable when the word, is said unstoppable as someone who's broken the proverbial glass ceiling and, reached heights of success as per the common definition of what success is, especially when you speak of a woman. But let me narrate the story, and it's a real story. I read it somewhere, of Sangeeta, a woman from rural Bihar, who was married off at a very young age. Okay, and she always wanted to, wear a salwar kameez, but you know how the culture was. So she wore saris as long as her husband was alive. And she had a son, and the son grew up, college, and finally the husband died, and the son went away for college. And then she decided that she is going to wear a salwar kameez. And she says, this winter, I will wear salwar kameez for the first time in my life, no matter what. The fabric is going to be Cotswool in earth colors. I know the design exactly, and I have finalized a tailor master from Thakurbari Road, Patna. And for me, that is unstoppable. The mindset of coming out of their comfort zones, daring to pursue what they strongly feel about and want to do, and in their lives and for others. So we have so many stories of this kind around us, which we do not speak about, maybe we don't even hear about, but these are the unstoppable women who have dared and from whom we need to take inspiration from. So I think that is what I would call as dare to be unstoppable.
Wow. Okay. Such interesting personal and story-based perspectives coming up there. And both of you actually answered my next question, which was, what does being unstoppable really mean to you? And that is true. One of the reasons why we call this the unstoppable woman is not because it's a hierarchy of success or a hierarchy of titles or anything. Yeah. But just the power of being unstoppable, which our mothers, our grandmothers, the women around us, are the people who help us in our homes, whether it's the nanny or the cook, they're all unstoppable in so many forms and ways. And I think that's where it comes from. Now I'm going to come and I'll switch the order. I'll start with Neerja because this question is tying in somewhere into the confidence aspect of what you spoke about. So when women are very strong and confident at work, at times it looks very intimidating. But I love this line which says, I'm not intimidating, you're intimidated. Having said that, and if they don't do it, they receive constant feedback otherwise. Right? So you're confident, then you're too confident, you're overconfident. If you're not confident, you're underconfident, you're not putting yourself out there. What are your thoughts on how to create that balance? So I'll come to you, Ruchira, after Neerja. Neerja, go.
Yeah. No, and this is a hard one, truly. But again, I will just, put out my perspective from my experiences, right? So when I was many years ago just stepping into the middle management, and you know how organizations are, they identify these high potential, leaders, and then they will put them through some intervention so that they can kind of be prepared for the tomorrow. So we were, can you just give me a minute? Just a minute, I'm so sorry. Sorry, so these are all the things that will happen, but we have to keep going. So I was saying, they had put us through this cohort of people. It's a mixed cohort, men and women, through an intervention. Usually they will do an assessment center and a development center. Assessment center is to kind of assess what you're good at and areas of improvement, and then put you through that journey of improving on those. And they did a 360-degree feedback. And one feedback that came my way was that Neerja is aggressive. And I just couldn't figure this out, right? Young girl, and from where, what about me is aggressive? So I went around asking everyone in the organization, my peers and superiors and all of that. So tell me, because I really want to work on this. I don't want to be aggressive. And nobody would answer. They said, no, it was not me who gave that feedback. So with that much of difficulty, I decided to go to a very senior person in the organization, the business unit head. He was not my manager or anything like that, but I said, I don't know how to deal with this. And he said, why should you bother about it? And I said, no, it bothers me because it's continuously on my head. And hence, I'm doing very differently, performing very differently today. And he said, that's what is going to happen. If you're going to listen to everyone else and then try to mold yourself into something that the rest of the world wants you to be like, you're never going to grow. In fact, you'll be stifled. So just accept it. Be aware that there are people who think of you as aggressive, and maybe do a little bit extra in terms of maybe going around the table, when you are in meetings, asking everyone for their point of view and explaining why you took a certain decision, even if it doesn't, kind of go with the rest of the majority, but just go about doing what you want to do. And this man was known to be an extremely aggressive leader. Okay. But I would see that he was a visionary, and that's why we thought he's aggressive. He could see things and he would, implement things much, way ahead of time for himself. And I'll stop the story by also narrating. When I went into the development center, there was this lady who was driving it. And I said, I don't know how to deal with this, despite having got this message from the big boss. And she said, Neerja, when I came to address all of you before we got into this program to tell you how this is going to run, I found you intimidating. And I said, what about me? Because, I remember in that meeting, I didn't even speak. I was very quiet because everyone else had asked their questions. I got my answers. She said, I think because you were the only woman in the room. And whether you like it or not, the eyes will go on to that minority. Despite me being a woman, I kept focusing on you. So even if the rest of the table was behaving in the same manner as you, sitting like you and all of that body language, I was observing you more. So what I would like to tell everyone is be aware that this is going to happen, and don't get this as a bias in your head, because the minute you are biased, they are telling me this because I'm a woman. This feedback is coming to me because I'm a woman. If I say this, that's how they are going to react. You're really not going to contribute how you would actually contribute. So be aware. And sometimes you may have an opportunity to clear those biases for the rest of them. But do that, help them understand that, and move on, because you have to contribute for what you are and who you are. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Okay, Ruchira, coming to you now.
So first of all, I'd say that Neerja, you pretty much nailed most of it. The situations we've been through in life. Let me tell you, I was in sales and I was told, ma'am, by my boss, madam, you're too soft. You're not getting the numbers done. Right? I think I need to address your team. And I looked at him and I said, what? I mean, for me, that was crushing. This was a year into my role. And I was out to prove that I could be that person. And here's someone saying, you're too soft. Let me speak to your team and get things done. And on the other hand, I move into a different role into brands and HR, and I'm told you're intimidating or you're too aggressive, not assertive. Assertive is different, Ruchira, aggressive. And so we've been there. So first of all, the thing I want to give everyone is, and we did this as part of my management course, and I think that gave me great context, which I hang on to. A lot of the way you're perceived is situational, is cultural, in what culture you're in. The same thing that you do in Bombay versus I used to handle sales in Uttar Pradesh, right? So very different contexts. I mean, same country, language broadly, etc. And the third one is your role. As you start in a certain role, people will expect you to behave in a certain way. When you get to a certain role, people, on the other hand, expect you to behave in a different way. How you flex yourself in that is very important. That's true for every individual. It's not just true for women. Okay, so as an individual, how you flex the way you behave in every single context, situation, and the role that you're playing in that room at that moment is probably what's going to define success for you. That being said, I have had someone whom I believe was one of my biggest, sponsors, not just a mentor, turn on and say, Richa, don't walk into the room assuming you've got to win every battle. It's fine. You can let a couple of them slide. You can, it's okay. You don't have to. And I remind myself of that sometimes. And I think things are not going the way I wanted them to, because it's not, it's at the end of the day, it's a team effort. I think the one thing to do in such situations is, and which is what I have done, is ask for feedback actively, not because you're being told you're aggressive or assertive or not, but because the moment you ask for it, you're getting the other person also to be a part of your journey. Okay, male, female, again, this is again gender neutral. And I've had the best women bosses who've been equally blunt when they've given feedback to me as the male bosses. Equally, finally, you do you. There is no other way of doing it. You have to figure out what that context is, what role you're playing and how you're going to get there. And you have to be yourself. There is no option, right? I think, and I'm going to put myself out there a little bit. A lot of the people I have worked with have never had a woman tell them what to do. That's the bottom line. It's true. It's true in this country. And, they've never had women working. They've got their own preconceived notions, just like I do about, I don't know, someone coming from some part of the country or not. These are these are biases that are deeply seated, which we are all unaware of, right? So, roll with the situation, roll with the context, roll with the cultural piece, but be yourself. And sometimes there's going to be conflict. So get the feedback. Say, what could I have done better in that situation? Don't be afraid of that feedback and don't use it as a way to change everything about you. This is me. Maybe in this context, I could have played it differently without letting go of my identity. It's not easy, but you know what? I think people are getting used to it. I think a lot of people, for example, we're getting a house renovated and the contractor, and construction is a business which is inherently male dominated, right? You walk into the house, people who are working in the house are only men. And the contractor actually came back and said, ma'am, it's so much easier to work with you, with your husband, it's so tough. He's very unreasonable. So I'm like, dude, I'm delighted. Thank you. And here I thought that they had a problem with me telling them what to do. So it's all about role, culture, context. And then on the end of it all, you've got to be authentic. So be your authentic self.
Wow. Yes, I think to that, I mean, I hate the fact that this conversation has only 30 minutes left, but I love everything that both of you are saying, because there's so many things there. They're often, taught to be people pleasing, the fact that we have to cater to everybody's every need, which is impossible in itself. The whole authenticity piece, I keep telling people, I don't have a game face or a mask. This is it. What you see is what you get. There is no this phase and that phase. It's too much effort. A lot of times, a lot of us are putting effort into building that pretension of being somebody who we aren't. And I think there's so much of relevance in both of what both of you said. And now, Ruchira, I'll start with you. And now we'll quickly go into a rapid fire-ish sort of mode so I can ask you both all of the questions that I have. What do you see as the value women leaders bring to the table? And Neerja, I'll come to you on this one as well next. So Ruchira, we'll start with you and then.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think leadership models are essentially leadership models. I hate this whole men versus women thing, because I think somewhere it kind of, boxes men and women into roles that they believe they have to play. And we're all about breaking those stereotypes, right? So, I mean, but that being said, I think women by nature of everything that we've had to deal with culturally and otherwise, women tend to be, I think, a little more aware of just the other context, the larger context. I mean, and I'm not saying, and these are the women I have worked with, the women whom I've been very fortunate to work with. I think women have been tremendous sponsors and mentors for me in my career as well. So I think one, they're more aware of what happens around. So, when you're juggling child, school, this, that, the other, it does, I've always find that women, you could have it the other way, I guess, but that's worked for me. The other one, I think women are, they do build slightly more, they build more consensus. They are more about getting people together. They are about, working with certain values and frameworks versus, and again, I hate these generalizations, guys. So I for everything I'm saying now, I know that there are men who I know who equally embody all of these values. The biggest thing that women leaders can do, and I'd rather frame it like that, which is what can women leaders do that I think women leaders can give a very, very much needed, role model advocacy. And I know it sounds very tedious. It sounds very like, why do I have to do more? Because I think that's the only way you learn. My mom worked when I was growing up, all my years. And she was in a fairly high stress job. So for me, I mean, she was that role model that taught me that you could do it all. Right? And having conversations with her even today. And today I asked her, I said, how did you do it? There were no mobile phones. There was, how did you manage to call us every time we came back from school and stuff like that? Which, by the way, I never did with my daughter. But her point of view was, well, I just did it. And sometimes you just get on with it. Those conversations are really important to hanging in there, because what I worry about is the leaky pipeline on women leadership. The leaky pipeline is so massive. So my earnest entreaty to women is, hang in there, find people whom you can talk to. And if you think you need a woman role model who you'd like to talk to, share your experiences with, kind of share the load, take it on, and hang in there. Because what I hate is the fact that we don't give enough of a leg up sometimes, and then people kind of just slip out. And that's
Yeah, leg up. I think that's so true. Neerja, coming to you. And I agree, because I think the trope that we're constantly caught in, it's become an us versus them. And that is unnecessary. But I also see what you're saying in terms of what is it that we can do to break that in some form. Because all of us are more conscious of it because we're at some form at the receiving end of in some way.
Yes.
So yeah, what do we do to change the narrative? So Neerja, over to you.
Yeah, so I'll keep it very short, right? So I'll speak about the other side, while whatever Ruchira said is definitely needed. But I think I also want to speak about this. We'll quote Michelle Obama, former US First Lady. She said, if you have a seat at the table, speak up. And shame on us if we sit by and let an imposter talk us down. If we don't speak up, our voices are never involved in the process of problem solving, and we don't get to the right answers. So she says, I'm constantly telling young women to speak up and talk. Don't waste your seat at the table. If you're scared to use your voice, then you have to get up and let someone else in there who's going to use it. And so anyone who has a seat at the table, including the seat on online platforms like this and on social media, need to contribute to the discussion, lead the discussion, influence the discussion. Being a woman is not only about the gender that you own, but also the uniqueness that you have in you, in your thoughts, your perspectives, and hence bring that on. Otherwise, as Obama said, vacate that seat, and someone else who will do justice to having that seat should be given that seat.
Hey, yay to that. I think, again, such snippets of insight there. And now, Neerja, I'm going to do a quick, sort of a rapid fire. 2 short questions, and Ruchira, I'll come to you. Neerja, how can women work across the divides of opinion? I know it's a tough one and it's a long answer, but if you were to give 3 snippeted responses to that, how can women do that?
So I think it is all about building the trust, right? Quickly, I'll again narrate, and I'm always a storyteller because that I think, gives that impact much better. So when I had to work with this French man, after the entire project that he was carrying on in Paris was transformed and, transitioned to Bangalore, there was only one piece that he was holding on to. And for us to be able to do a release, I'm talking the IT jargon, right? Do a release in production, that one thing that his team was holding on to had to be done prior to us doing something. And we tried reaching that man, somebody, his team member, but we just couldn't get that going. So I was very new to this team. I, in my own style, wrote out an email to this person saying, if you don't do that on time, we can't deliver on time. And I marked this big French man, the big boss, and my boss. The French man immediately responded in big, bold letters. You do not ask my team member to work for you. Full stop. That's it. That's all the email had. And everyone in my team came running to me because I was new. They were there for a longer time. They said, this is not the way you communicate, Neerja. We told you, French, and he's unhappy that everything went to Bangalore. Well, what else can I do? I'm telling the whole world we can't deliver. Next minute, the work got done. This guy did his work and we did our release. The following month, this French guy came to Bangalore, and 2 weeks I sat with him and, tried to absorb everything that he knew because he's a powerhouse of information. He's been driving this project for years, right? I sat down and absorbed everything. And before he left, I asked him, I said, I thought you were going to fight with me, but you're so cooperative. I mean, everything that I asked for, you just gave it to me on a platter. Was quite surprising. And he said, Neerja, on day one, when I walked in, I saw you how you were dealing with the team. The way you did not wear the hat of being, I was working at Capgemini, you did not wear the hat of the client. You just wore the hat of a delivery manager and were asking the right questions openly, transparently to deliver the project successfully. I knew you're the right person for the job. And then I decided I'm going to support you and not fight you. So I think that's how you build trust and relationships. Most important to kind of get everything done at home also and at work.
Woohoo! Okay. And the second question, Neerja, this is a one-line answer. How can women navigate power structures?
I think it's the same thing. For me, it is to build that trust, and it will take some time. So don't go gung-ho and say, I am the new daughter-in-law here and I want to transform this house into whatever. I am the new leader here and this is the way things happen. You have to let everyone else do their way. On the side, do your way. Prove that, you have it, and they will, see what you can. Like this Frenchman, right? He saw me doing it, and you will be able to get your way.
Woohoo! Okay. Ruchira, your two questions. What were the pivotal moments in your career that contributed to your success?
Yeah, one, when you say that, I believe like my pivotal moments are yet to come. But the best is yet to come. My point, my thing was one, I've always believed in doing the hard yards earlier. Don't hold back. Whether it was doing sales, putting your hand up for the toughest geographies, don't worry. I'm not worried about where I'm going to go. Or recently moving to a tech company after doing CPG, where there were so many times and I was told, oh, you don't know this, and I'm like, hey, yeah, but I'm here to learn. So I think one is take on the challenges. And that's always worked for me. Because then you work hard, you do the prep, it works. The other one, the pivotal moments I'd say is, and I'd say this again, I've had the most amazing women leader bosses, managers, or, skip managers, in fact. They've recruited me, they've carried me, to new roles. So shout out to them, yeah. I mean, I don't think that men have taken as many risks on me as the women have, women leaders. A lot of us say, oh, women are so tough to work with. It's been the absolute opposite for me. So I have, that's something that's always stayed with me, and I just hope I can pass that on, to people I work with, to give them the kind of opportunities. So pay that forward.
Yay. What does it take to be committed and engaged in being unstoppable?
Well, I hate to say this, takes a lot of hard work. There's no substitute for it. Neerja, you're laughing because all of us know it, right? We've got 5 other things happening, and then you've got to go and do things in there. And it's like my mom-in-law looked at me and said, I have to, you're a very hard worker. And I didn't think it was a compliment. But I think what she meant was she saw me, if I said I'm going to do something, I have to do it, right? So I think it takes hard work. It takes resilience. and I've used that word, it's a very big word. It's a very big word. It means gritting yourself, holding your gut feels like shit because you're like, sorry for the language, but you've got butterflies the size of dinosaurs. You don't like where you're at, but you're going to hang in there. And there are days when I felt like quitting and I said, you know what? So-and-so is not going to be the person that makes me quit. I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to succeed at it. And then I'll quit on my own terms if I have to. So I think sometimes resilience, and by the way, I didn't quit then because I turned it around and I was in a happy space. But my point is it takes resilience and it takes hard work. At the same time, like I said, you do you. If you can't do it, move on, be happy with it, right?
Yes.
So there's so many opportunities today. And forums like this, I think it gives the language which I have to say when I started out didn't exist. So in a way, it's just listen to Nirja, listening to you, listening to, before this Kiran. It's just marvelous. Like when she talks about hugging people and saying, or just telling someone that you love them, or this is language that's new, that didn't exist when I started working. So use all these resources and you know what? You'll find your place. You'll find your place in the sun.
Wow. Okay. I want to keep this going, but we're at time. And Nija and Ruchira, we spoke about resilience, about trust, about challenges, about hard work, stories, personal, so much. So everybody who's watching us live, enjoying this conversation as much as saying that thank you so much for joining us. I think Sethi is so much more today because of all of you joining us and having this conversation with us. Thank you, Ruchira, Neja. You guys are truly inspiring in every form and way of the word. And we'd love to bring you back over and over into Sethi's for many more of these conversations. It's thank you from us, and thank you for those lovely feedbacks, I'm sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sheryl, and thank you, Rajpreet, for this forum. And Nirja, lovely to connect with you virtually, but hope to meet you guys in a more physical world at some point. Stay safe.
Absolutely. Someday. Stay safe, and thank you, Rajpreet. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Sethi. You keep saying cheese.
I would also like to extend my vote of thanks. I think, Ruchira, first to you. I think this is your second appearance on the Sethi's platform. And I think both the times I've missed out on the opportunity of really having a conversation with you. And maybe we'll do that next time. And so thanks a lot, Ruchira. And Nija, I think it's really great to meet you and know you. And thank you so much. It's really been an honor having both you ladies here. And I think what a morning it's been. So many perspectives, so many ideas. And thanks, Shreya, for conducting. So thank you so much. And I know there is some kind of confusion. People are joining in on the app looking for this session. And so the iOS speakers sessions are happening on Zoom. Where we are only sharing the YouTube link because we are really wanting users to come in and watch it on the YouTube live, whereas the Android speakers sessions are happening on the app. So we've information on the app. And so, yes, we would like to continue the next session, the two sessions that are lined up immediately, Anshul and Nandini. Both of them are happening on the Sethi's app. So if you're an Android user, please join us on the app directly. And I hope to have you all back, Ruchira and Nija, once we've done the iOS launch as well, or hopefully by next week, and you can experience the app yourself. So
definitely. I did go into the app this morning.
Yeah.
Good luck. And I'm sure, with the support that you have from everyone, you will go places.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. So the next session, Saras, I think we're just waiting for Anshul. So I think we will be having that session on the app.
Yes. So over to the app for everybody who's watching live on YouTube. If you have the Android app, make sure to go catch the sessions there. We have more sessions coming up later today as well. So stay locked in. That's it from me. I will see you all in the evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rajpreet, Divya, and Saras. Thank you, Sethi's, for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. See you soon. Bye.